yours.
You're gonna review mine? I guarantee I won't laugh at mine.
No, I probably wouldn't either.
Let's do one.
Really?
The real cure for ADHD. Scotty K.
Do you think he actually has a last name?
I think his last name is K.
Got
Or
it.
maybe it's the real cure for Scotty K.
Scotty, you okay?
Scotty.
You okay?
Scotty, okay?
You okay, Scotty?
This is cool. I love coming out on stage because no matter what, even if it's a great response like that, I can still see some of you. You're like, dang it, Bobby, he looks like Rascal Flatts.
Oh, look, another guy doing he looks
There's another guy saying he looks like a thing.
Looking
and
around
he
the
may or
crowd
may
because
not
everyone
look
over
like
50 is like, well, what's funny about that? I don't know that voice. That was Hank Hill. If you're okay, did you recognize that? Not that you're over 50, sir. I'm just asking. Okay, maybe you are. I don't know. Okay, so King of the Hill, and because every time I watch it, Dr. Phil has to do that voice. It is. It's like, dang it, Bobby, you act like you don't have shame. And you know we taught you shame. Shame is something you can be free from. Thank you, Oprah.
Here's the thing about doing a voice or a character. It has to be a pretty much universally recognized voice. And so in this case it probably is, but it's just the thing that goes through my head. And if you start drawing parallels between Hank Hill and Dr. Phil, it's even, because now you have two people that the audience has to understand who they are.
Well, they're recognized, but they are older. It's very isolating to a much younger part of your audience.
Right.
And it only gets older as the people get older.
I tend to stay away from, have you noticed how this person is like that person? Or you notice this person talks like that person? For exactly that reason. If you go back and watch comedy from the 80s and the references that they make to people in the current culture in the 80s, and it's just,
Right.
it doesn't work anymore. Because,
like when they make fun of Richard Simmons.
Right.
And you're like,
who is that?
I have to go Google that.
And even if you know who it is, it doesn't have the same impact, 40 years later, because most of the people who are listening to it weren't necessarily even alive when that was going on. Even if you've got an extreme character today, 40 years from now, that extreme character is not going to resonate with that culture. It's like doing Aristotle jokes. It's like doing Socrates jokes.
If somebody got up really was
Yes.
like, man, that's Socrates.
Yeah,
Am I
well,
right? I probably would laugh.
That's because I am extremely gifted at comedy. But
Nothing? Okay. I didn't even plan on doing this one, but I'm going with it. Okay.
I didn't plan on doing this.
Is a lie.
Is a lie. It's a lie, and I have used that lie myself. There is a magical psychological thing that happens when the audience thinks that they are experiencing something for the first time. They think that you've never done this before. If they think you weren't planning on doing this, okay, I'm going off the rails here. I mean,
Improv.
I've got material, but I'm not using it. The audience gets excited about that, and you have a tendency to get a stronger reaction from mediocre material because the audience thinks that were not planning on doing it. It's okay, but that's what's happening here.
Pretty much anytime a comic laughs, that's also fake. They don't think they're that funny.
It's called corpsing, and I do that as well. It's a way that you can psychologically, subconsciously cue the audience that what you have just said or done is funny. Those are just things that you have to do when you're performing comedy. Every little trick, every little gimmick that you have that makes the show better for the audience, you should use it. Okay,
I'll
Scotty.
do two other voices that I think are the same person, then we'll start the show.
Now we're going to start the show.
Okay,
After
here we
this.
go. Get another
Here we
intro and okay. Okay, here we go. Let's see if you got it. You got to know when to hold on.
Kenny Rogers.
Know when to fold on. I never touched that woman.
That's getting pretty old too.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at all these millennials out here. They have no idea who that is.
I was going to make fun of you guys.
They're 20s.
Barely millennial.
Making fun of millennials. He just pulled the
Let's give it
audience.
up, generation.
We got millennials here? Where are the
generation I
millennials?
know that calls in sick when their feelings are hurt. I'm going to say things in this set just to throw you guys off. The millennials, right? All right, in the middle of something, I'll just stop and go, cassette tape, right? Or job. Look at this guy back here. I don't care. I'll beat you in Fortnite.
Fortnite.
That was a gaming
Oh,
joke, sir.
there's a boomer joke.
Making fun of stereotypes. Where are my millennials? Even if there was only one millennial
He was going to
in
do
the
it
crowd,
anyway.
he was going to talk about millennials in general.
Yeah.
He is assuming and acting like the audience isn't with him. Pretty standard mechanism where you say a joke and then you lean down and you talk to supposedly the guy in the front row. There might not even be a guy in the front row. Front row
It's
might
the
be,
cameraman.
might be populated by all women and stuffed animals, and he's still
Right.
going to lean forward and go, "That was a video game joke, sir."
Yeah. Or cassette tape. That was before your time. I think you used to have a joke like that. Typewriters. And you're like,
Right.
why is he slapping his cell phone?
Why is he slapping his cell phone?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't mind those jokes. I like your joke about it. But I don't think the millennials versus boomers jokes are that funny. Maybe it's just because I've heard them a million times. But I don't think it's a far enough generational difference. It would be much funnier for me if that guy was talking about 1920s stuff we really don't understand. But between the millennials and the boomers, I know what a cassette tape is.
Right.
Because my parents had all of those things.
If I was going to make fun of millennials, I would say whatever it is I'm going to do to make fun of millennials, and then I would bring myself up, and I would make the joke about not knowing video games.
Yeah.
You know, at least I can beat you at Atari, which would signal that I'm an old guy.
Right,
I mean,
that
I
you're a
still
little
think
bit
that
out.
video games have to do with Atari.
Like, I don't think it was enough of an exaggeration. Only going 40 years ago and saying cassette tapes, that's not far enough.
Well,
if you had said like, well, at least I can still work my gramophone, then I would have laughed. You can make fun of us, but you have to equally or more make fun of yourself. This is personal preference. This got laughs. People aren't offended. I'm not really offended.
I'm not either. He said he
But
didn't.
I would laugh harder if it was done a different way.
You get 2.5 minutes.
Over, Scotty.
Sorry, Scotty. K?
Okay, we'll do Not Every Child is Smart by Helene Angley.
Helene.
My prediction is she's British.
I'm a mom. Give it up for moms in the room.
Not British.
Shoot. Is there moms in the room?
Give it up for dads in the room. Give
Are
it
there
up.
dads in the room?
All right, started. Give it up. Is there moms in the room? Are there dads in the room? And everybody's clapping and applauding, and all of that is psychological. You know, there's applause, there's noise, and that's good. Now she can kind of ride that wave.
All right. It takes a village to raise the kids. It does. It takes a village. Good for you. Good for you. Anyone
Oh,
with
she's
young
still
kids?
polling
Anyone
the
with young
audience.
kids? Oh, you do? You have young kids? That's great. So I have a little trick. My kids are a little older, so I want to give you a little piece of advice that would work. Because, you know, sometimes you just want a few minutes by yourselves, right? Where are they right now, actually? With his mom, right? Do you really care?
Unless you have an actual bit that you're going to deliver, if you're going to ask that question and you've got a joke that you're going to tell, regardless of what the answer is, it's not a good idea to burn through your precious minutes with talking to people in the audience. Why is she asking this question?
Comics and performers, we have our little routines, we have our things we do. I think that we just kind of go on autopilot.
Right.
And so she's used to interviewing audience members.
Sure.
So she's not thinking, oh, it's a special, I need to do things differently.
Right.
It's, this is what I do now.
Well, and that's my criticism. When you become a stand-up, you have to analyze everything that you say and do. What that was just a speed bump. And she's not British.
Point against her.
If she had been British, then it probably would have worked.
It would have.
If you do. And so this is what I would do. I would go sit myself on my stairs. I would give myself a timeout. Grandparents, take this advice. I would just give myself a timeout. I'd sit on my stairs. They come find you. They always do. They're never far behind. And they go, Mom, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm on a timeout. And they go, well, what does that mean? I go, that means I can't talk to you for the next 10 minutes.
That's not bad. I give myself a timeout. I would suggest that she flip that.
Basically be her children, where she
Right.
goes, and here's what I do. And, you know,
They're
they come
driving
around
me
the
crazy.
corner.
They're asking me for food. You know, they're missing shoes and socks, and she could just paint this chaotic picture.
Right.
And then I will just sit down, and they'll go, "What's wrong, Mom?" I can't talk to you right
I'm
now.
in timeout.
I'm in timeout. Go ahead.
Oh my goodness! But
Is
now
it
my
Helen
kids
or
are
Helene?
older, so my son just turned 23, just graduated from the University of Delaware. So yeah, now he's a waiter and he lives at home. It's so great. I'm so proud. It's so great. $200,000 and he's a waiter at home. How great is that? Yay, biology! Yay! 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 made $100 today. So happy, so happy, so proud, so proud. That's right, you know? And I don't even know if like colleges teach kids real life experiences these days. I think they're missing a gap a little bit to, well, his student loan, and they want to charge him $5 to pay the bill online. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Let's go down to the bank and open a checking account. What? We'll go down to the bank and we'll open a checking account. How do you go in the bank? You go in the bank. Where are the doors? Behind the ATM. No, there's not. Yes, there are. There are doors and you go in the bank. No, you don't. Yes, you do. What's back there? People. What do? They give you a checking account. We walked through the doors. It was like Dorothy. Whoa! He had no idea. Came home, he had to write his first bill. $90. N-I-N-D-Y. Some crowds don't get that. Some crowds. $200,000. There's no D in 90. There's no D. There's no spell check for checks. That's what I'm dealing with millennials.
And truth. It's possible that he hasn't opened a checking account before. And it's okay to exaggerate that. But you make your 23-year-old son, who's graduated from college, you can't make him so stupid that he doesn't understand that there's doors at the bank.
I wish that she'd actually taken something silly or dumb that her 23-year-old son had done and used that. Because we all have those moments where I'm smarter than this, but I did something really silly.
Right.
Those are the things that you should do and stretch those a little bit. Because it feels like she's making this up. Obviously she is, but it feels like she's making it up entirely.
You exaggerate things that are true. And so if you want to tell a story about opening up a checking account for the first time, well, what are the steps in opening up a checking account that he would have to do that he wouldn't know he was supposed to do? You're going to have some form of ID.
You have to have some ID, and no,
Right,
your gamer tag is not ID.
But
if you want to do something millennial, talk about gamer tags.
right.
Astro Undone 97. No, that's not 90.
So he showed her her little Xbox avatar.
The panda with the...
Right, this is me. Like, why are you wearing a monocle? It's okay to exaggerate, but you can't go too far.
Well,
I feel like we're picking on her, and I don't mean to. We have to keep saying this every episode.
And this might not be her best clip. So, thanks for bearing with us. Goodbye! Oh.
So we'll come back and listen. Right. I'm not going to write her whole routine for her. The premise, I think... The premise, I think, is...
Oh my gosh. Typically, I like to put the reaction film down in this section, but I already know that you had your face there the whole time.